The massive screen in Earth Defense Force headquarters flashed red as energy readings spiked beyond anything ever recorded in human history. Admiral James Miller stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his weathered face illuminated by the emergency lights. 20 years of preparing for this moment, and it was finally happening. Multiple objects detected beyond Pluto's orbit, sir, reported Lieutenant Wilson from his monitoring station. They're big, bigger than anything we've ever built. Miller nodded slowly. The bunker, buried deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, hummed with activity as personnel rushed to their stations. This facility, unknown to the public, had been waiting for this day since the recovery of the crashed alien ship in 1947. Send the alert to all EDF bases, Miller ordered. Initiate Protocol Omega. And get me the World Council. The massive alien ships approached with precision, their energy signatures lighting up every sensor array on and around Earth. Humanity had hidden its true technological capabilities well. Satellites that appeared primitive to outside observers masked quantum scanning arrays, and simple communication towers concealed advanced monitoring systems. Within hours, the World Council gathered in their secret chamber beneath Geneva. Representatives from every nation sat in tense silence as Admiral Miller presented the situation. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. "The visitors we've been preparing for have finally arrived. Based on the recovered data from previous crash sites, we believe this is the Galactic Empire's standard first contact fleet." The council chamber erupted in whispers. For decades, Earth's nations had worked together in secret, sharing recovered alien technology and preparing defenses. The public remained unaware, living their lives while the world's governments secretly united against a threat they knew would eventually come. The alien fleet's approach was methodical. They positioned themselves in a display of overwhelming force, their massive ships forming a crescent above Earth. The message was clear: resistance would be futile. Their first transmission came 3 days after their arrival. The image that appeared on screens worldwide showed a human face. Unexpected, yet somehow more unsettling than an alien would have been. The man wore a crisp uniform adorned with unfamiliar symbols. "I am Ambassador Robert of the Galactic Empire," he announced in perfect English. "Your world has been chosen to join our glorious empire. Resistance is not advised. Worlds that resist face unfortunate consequences." In the World Council chamber, Miller watched the transmission with a grim expression. The Empire's use of a human ambassador was a calculated move. They expected it to make Earth more compliant. They didn't know that Earth had already learned about their practice of using conquered humans as frontline diplomats. "Their ships are moving into standard intimidation formation," Lieutenant Wilson reported. "Exactly as predicted from the archived data." Miller allowed himself a small smile. The Empire was following their standard playbook. The same one Earth had pieced together from crashed ships and recovered databases over the last 70 years. They expected to find a primitive world, easy to intimidate and conquer. Instead, they had walked into a carefully prepared trap. "Send our response," Miller ordered. On the Empire's command ship, Ambassador Robert received Earth's transmission. He expected either immediate surrender or futile threats. Instead, the message was brief and puzzling. "Earth acknowledges the Galactic Empire's greeting. Before further communication, we advise you to check your fleet's rear section." Robert turned to his alien masters in confusion. The ship's sensors swiveled, and alarms immediately blared. Hidden in the asteroid belt, previously cloaked human defense platforms had silently surrounded the Empire's fleet. The first shot wasn't fired. Not yet. But the message was clear. Earth wasn't the helpless primitive world they had expected to find. In the Rocky Mountain bunker, Miller watched the Empire's ships adjust their positions. "And now we wait," he said quietly. "Let them wonder what else we might be hiding." The greatest advantage humanity held wasn't their hidden technology or secret preparations. It was the Empire's arrogance, their absolute certainty that Earth would be like all the other worlds they had conquered. They were about to learn that humans didn't follow the expected script. The first battle for Earth's freedom wouldn't be fought with weapons. It had already been won with 70 years of patience, preparation, and the element of surprise. The Empire's response to Earth's show of strength came with brutal swiftness. Their largest ship turned its main weapon toward Pluto, and with a flash of blinding light, the distant planet shattered into countless pieces. In the Rocky Mountain bunker, Admiral Miller watched the destruction without flinching. "Right on schedule," he muttered. Behind him, several officers exchanged knowing looks. The Empire had just played directly into their hands. Ambassador Roberts' face appeared on the main screen again. "This demonstration should make Earth's position clear. Surrender now, or the next target will be your moon." Miller stepped forward, straightening his uniform. "Patch me through to all Empire ships," he ordered. When the connection was confirmed, he spoke clearly and calmly. "This is Admiral James Miller of the Earth Defense Force. We watched you destroy Pluto. Now, watch us." He nodded to Lieutenant Wilson. "Activate the Mars Defense Ring." Around Mars, hundreds of hidden stations suddenly dropped their cloaking shields. They had been built in secret over the past 30 years, disguised as routine mining operations. Each station housed weapons reverse-engineered from crashed Empire ships. "Target their support ships," Miller commanded. "Show them what Earth can do." The defense ring lit up. Beams of concentrated energy sliced through space, striking the Empire's smaller vessels. Their shields, designed to stop conventional weapons, proved useless against Earth's modified technology. 3 ships exploded before the Empire could react. Ambassador Roberts' face showed shock for the first time. "Impossible. Your world is supposed to be primitive. How did you?" "We've had 70 years to study your technology," Miller interrupted. "Every failed probe you sent, every scout ship that mysteriously crashed. We found them all. We learned. We prepared." The Empire fleet scrambled to respond, but Earth wasn't finished. Hidden bases on the moon opened, revealing missile silos that had been disguised as research stations. Launch platforms emerged from beneath the surfaces of Mars' moons, Phobos and Deimos. "All defense units, engage at will," Miller ordered. "Show them why you don't threaten Earth." The space around Mars erupted in chaos. Empire ships, caught between the Mars defense ring and the moon-based weapons, found themselves in a crossfire. Their rigid battle formations, effective against less advanced civilizations, became a liability as Earth's smaller, more maneuverable craft attacked from multiple directions. In the World Council chamber, leaders watched the battle unfold. "We've spent trillions in secret," the Russian representative noted, "building all this while maintaining the illusion of a divided world. The greatest weapon we had was their own arrogance," the Chinese representative replied. "They never thought to look deeper than our surface conflicts." The Empire's command ship launched a massive energy pulse, meant to disable all electronic devices in the solar system. But Earth was ready for this too. Their quantum-entangled communication network, shielded and isolated, continued functioning without interruption. "Launch the swarm," Miller commanded. From Earth's oceans, thousands of small automated drones rose into the sky. They had been hidden underwater, safe from detection. Now they streamed toward space like a cloud of mechanical insects, each one carrying a weapon specifically designed to penetrate Empire shields. Ambassador Roberts' transmission cut in again, but this time his voice carried fear. "How? How did you hide all this?" "We learned from history," Miller replied. "Every time a powerful empire encountered a primitive civilization, it ended in conquest. So we made sure that when you found us, we'd be ready." The battle lasted less than an hour. When it ended, half the Empire's scout fleet was destroyed, and the rest were retreating to the outer solar system. Earth had revealed only a fraction of its defenses, but it was enough to send a clear message. In the bunker, Miller watched the enemy ships flee. "Send a message to the Empire fleet," he ordered. "Tell them, this was just our first line of defense. The next time you enter our solar system, you'll see what we've been saving for a real fight." Lieutenant Wilson smiled as he sent the message. "Do you think they'll be back, sir?" Miller's expression hardened. "Oh, they'll be back. With a bigger fleet next time. But now they know. Earth isn't just another primitive world to conquer. We're the planet that fights back." Behind him, on the main screen, the remains of the Empire ships burned against the backdrop of space, a warning to any who thought Earth would be an easy target. Dr. Anna Wells walked through the underground halls of Area 51, her footsteps echoing off steel walls. Behind her, Admiral Miller and the World Council representatives followed in stunned silence. For decades, this facility had been the subject of wild theories. The truth, as usual, was far more interesting than fiction. "Ladies and gentlemen," Dr. Wells said, stopping at a massive vault door, "welcome to humanity's secret weapon." The door slid open with a hiss, revealing a vast chamber. Inside, dozens of scientists worked around what appeared to be a floating sphere of pure darkness. "This," she explained, "is what we learned from the crashed ship in 1947. Not just advanced technology, but the key to dark matter manipulation." One of the council members stepped forward. "The public thinks Area 51 is empty now. That we shut it down years ago." "Exactly," Dr. Wells smiled. "The best hiding place is one that people think they've already found. Every UFO tourist taking pictures of the empty buildings above us helped maintain our cover." Admiral Miller checked his tablet as it beeped. "The Empire's main fleet has been detected. They'll reach Mars in 6 hours." Dr. Wells nodded. "Then it's time to show you what we've really been working on." She led them deeper into the facility, past rooms filled with recovered alien technology. Every piece of Empire tech we recovered had one weakness. It was designed to be used only by their species. They thought this would prevent conquered worlds from using their weapons. They entered another chamber, this one filled with what looked like sleeping pods. "We found a way around that," she continued. "We don't need to copy their bio-locked weapons. We can control them directly." Inside each pod was a human operator, their minds connected to complex machines. On screens above them, Empire ship schematics flashed and rotated. "The Ghost Protocol," Admiral Miller explained to the Council. "We can hack their ship systems using quantum entanglement. Our operators can take control of their weapons, their engines, even their life support." Alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. Dr. Wells rushed to a nearby console. "The Empire fleet is larger than we expected. 5,000 ships at least. They're angry," Miller said. "We bloodied their nose, and now they're here to make an example of us." He turned to Dr. Wells. "Is it ready?" She nodded. "All operators are prepared. But, sir, we've never attempted this on such a scale." Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, massive doors began to open. Hidden shipyards that had been operating in secret for decades activated their launch sequences. From underwater bases around the world, Earth's true fleet emerged. These weren't the small defensive ships they used before. These were Earth's real warships, powered by antimatter engines, armed with weapons decades ahead of anything the Empire expected them to have. "All ships, launch sequence initiated." Lieutenant Wilson's voice came through the command center. "Ghost Protocol operators are linking up." Dr. Wells led the group to the main control room. On the massive screen, they could see the Empire fleet approaching. Their ships were arranged in an attack formation designed to overwhelm planetary defenses. "They still think we're fighting a defensive war," Miller smiled. "They don't realize we're about to take the fight to them." The Earth fleet rose from the oceans, water cascading from their hulls. Each ship was smaller than the Empire's massive vessels, but they were more advanced, hybrid designs combining human innovation with reversed engineered alien tech. In their pods, the Ghost Protocol operators began their work. Empire ships suddenly found their weapons turning off, their shields flickering, their engines misfiring. Confusion spread through their fleet as systems stopped responding to commands. "Send the message," Miller ordered. Dr. Wells pressed a button, and her voice transmitted to every Empire ship. Your weapons were designed to reject alien users, but we're not aliens. We're human, just like the people you enslaved from other worlds. And now, your own technology will help us set them free. The Earth fleet accelerated toward the Empire Armada. Unlike their previous defensive stance, this was a full assault. The Empire's mighty ships, stripped of their technological advantages by the Ghost Protocol, faced an enemy they never expected, humanity at its full strength. All ships, engage at will, Miller commanded. Show them what humanity can really do. The battle for Earth was about to begin in earnest, and the Empire was about to learn why they should have looked more carefully at the primitive world they tried to conquer. Space lit up like 1,000 suns as Earth's fleet engaged the Empire's armada. Admiral Miller watched from the command center as Lieutenant Wilson called out battle updates. Earth Fleet Group Alpha, breaking into attack squadrons, Wilson reported. Ghost Protocol, affecting 40% of enemy vessels. Miller nodded, his eyes fixed on the tactical display. While the Empire's ships moved in rigid formations, Earth's vessels darted between them like wolves among cattle. Each human ship was smaller, faster, and more agile than the Empire's massive warships. Begin Operation Hornet's Nest, Miller commanded. On the main screen, Earth's fleet suddenly split into hundreds of smaller groups. Each squadron contained 5 ships, a tactic developed from studying the most successful guerrilla warfare strategies in human history. Just like the old saying, Miller muttered, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. The Empire's fleet tried to adjust, but their traditional battle doctrine worked against them. Their huge ships were designed for overwhelming force, not for chasing smaller, faster targets. Every time they turned to face one attack group, 3 more struck from different directions. In her control pod, Dr. Wells directed the Ghost Protocol operators. Focus on their command and control systems, she ordered. Don't try to take full control, just create chaos. Empire ships started firing on each other as their targeting systems were hacked. Their combat computers couldn't tell friend from foe. Some ships lost power entirely, while others found themselves unable to maintain their positions in formation. Enemy fleet breaking formation, Wilson announced. They're trying to regroup into defensive positions. Miller allowed himself a small smile. Launch the mines. What looked like debris from the earlier battles suddenly activated. Thousands of small devices, secretly placed during the Empire's first retreat, sprang to life. They attached themselves to enemy ships, disrupting shields and communications. In the Empire's command ship, Grand Admiral Marcus watched in growing frustration as his fleet fell into disarray. Impossible, he shouted. These primitives were supposed to be easy prey. A communication came through from one of his captains. Sir, we're detecting some kind of quantum interference. These humans, they're inside our systems somehow. All ships, fall back and regroup. Marcus ordered, but it was too late. Earth's attack squadrons pressed their advantage. They had studied Empire tactics for decades, learning every weakness, every blind spot. When an Empire ship turned to face one threat, 3 more attack groups would strike from its vulnerable points. The Empire fleet is splitting up, Wilson reported. They're losing cohesion. Miller keyed his comm. All squadrons, execute attack pattern Delta. Remember your training. Hit and run. Don't let them pin you down. Earth's ships moved like a well-rehearsed dance team. Each attack was precisely coordinated, striking from multiple angles before disappearing into the darkness of space. The Empire's mighty warships, designed for grand battles between massive fleets, found themselves being picked apart by an enemy they couldn't effectively fight back against. Sir, Wilson called out, enemy ships are starting to retreat. Their formation is completely broken. On the tactical display, the Empire fleet was scattered across space. Some ships drifted powerless, their systems compromised by Ghost Protocol. Others fired wildly at phantom targets, their sensors confused by Earth's electronic warfare. They expected us to fight like them, Miller said to the watching World Council members, to line up our ships and engage in traditional space combat. Instead, we're fighting like humans, adapting, improvising, using every dirty trick we know. Dr. Wells's voice came through the comm. Admiral, Ghost Protocol has reached 60% effectiveness. We're starting to get access to their internal communications. Patch it through, Miller ordered. The voices of Empire commanders filled the command center, their confusion and fear evident in every word. Where are they coming from? I've lost control of weapons. They're everywhere. Fall back. Fall back. Miller turned to the World Council representatives. This is why we spent decades preparing, not to match their strength, but to fight in ways they never expected. They thought size and power would win this war. We're showing them that strategy and adaptability matter more. As they watched, more Empire ships began retreating. The mighty armada that had arrived to punish Earth was now running away, harried by smaller ships that struck like lightning and vanished like ghosts. Humanity's first major battle against the Galactic Empire wasn't being won with superior firepower, but with superior tactics and the element of surprise. Ambassador Robert stood alone in his quarters aboard the Empire's reserve fleet, watching recorded footage of Earth's victory. Something inside him had changed. For the first time in 20 years of serving the Empire, he felt hope. His communication device beeped, a secure channel from other human origin worlds within the Empire. He had been waiting for this. "The news is spreading," said a woman's voice. Earth didn't just fight back. They won. She was from New Eden, another human world conquered centuries ago. "The Empire can't keep this quiet," Robert replied. "Too many ships lost. Too many witnesses." He looked at his door, making sure it was locked. "Are the others ready?" "All 30 human worlds are watching, waiting. If Earth can do it." The transmission cut off as heavy footsteps approached his door. Robert quickly deleted the communication log. Meanwhile, on Earth, Admiral Miller and Dr. Wells were reviewing new intelligence data in the Rocky Mountain bunker. "Sir," Lieutenant Wilson called out, "Ghost Protocol just intercepted this from the Empire's internal networks." He played a recording of aliens arguing in their council chamber. "These humans are different," one voice insisted. "They hid their true strength." "Impossible," another responded. "No species has ever resisted us this way." Dr. Wells smiled. "Their whole empire is built on the assumption that they're superior. Earth just proved them wrong." The main screen lit up with an incoming transmission, heavily encrypted, on a frequency they'd never seen before. When they decoded it, Ambassador Robert's face appeared. "I don't have much time," he said quickly. "But you need to know, what you've done is spreading. Every human world in the Empire is questioning their loyalty. Even non-human species are watching." Miller leaned forward. "How many human worlds are there?" 30 that we know of. All conquered over the last 1,000 years. All forced to serve." Robert looked over his shoulder nervously. "The Empire's council is in chaos. Some want to launch a full invasion of Earth. Others," he smiled slightly, "others are afraid." "They should be," Dr. Wells said. Suddenly, Robert's transmission was interrupted by alert signals. Empire ships were appearing at the edge of the solar system, but something was different this time. "Sir," Wilson reported, "we're detecting weapons fire between Empire vessels." The tactical display showed Empire ships attacking each other. Some were trying to advance toward Earth, while others were actively blocking their path. "It's starting." Robert's transmission cut back in. Grand Admiral Marcus declared Earth must be destroyed at any cost, but half the fleet is refusing to follow his orders. Miller turned to Dr. Wells. "Can Ghost Protocol reach that far?" She shook her head. "Not at that range. This isn't us. They're really fighting each other." More transmissions began pouring in from across the Empire. Human worlds were openly defying Imperial orders. Alien species that had been watching Earth's resistance were beginning to question their own submission to Empire rule. In the World Council chamber, representatives watched in amazement as the Empire began tearing itself apart. We didn't just defend Earth, one member realized. We broke their myth of invincibility. Robert's final transmission came through, clearer this time. Marcus is coming with everything he has left. But he's lost control of half the Empire's forces. Some ships are deserting. Others are actively fighting against him. He straightened his uniform. I've made my choice. I'm done serving them. The screen showed his location. He was on a ship heading toward Earth, along with vessels from other human worlds. They had turned against the Empire, inspired by Earth's resistance. Dr. Wells checked her readings. Sir, Ghost Protocol is picking up transmissions from at least 15 other species in the Empire. They're all watching this. Miller nodded slowly. We're not just fighting for Earth anymore. We've started something bigger. He turned to his officers. Send word to all defense forces. The real battle is coming. Not just for our world, but for every world that wants to be free. As they watched, more Empire ships appeared. But instead of attacking, they were forming a defensive line alongside Earth's forces. The Empire's perfect order had shattered. And in its place, something new was forming. An alliance of those who dared to resist. The Empire's greatest weapon had always been fear. Now that Earth had shown it could be beaten, that fear was turning into hope. And hope was spreading faster than any invasion fleet could travel. The command center buzzed with activity as Dr. Wells rushed in, her eyes bright with excitement. Admiral Miller, the Ghost Protocol. We've done it. We've finally cracked their command codes. Miller turned from the tactical display showing Grand Admiral Marcus's approaching fleet. You're sure? Positive. She handed him a tablet. We can do more than just disrupt their systems now. We can take complete control. Miller studied the data as Lieutenant Wilson announced. Enemy fleet will reach Jupiter's orbit in 2 hours. But sir, nearly 40% of their ships have broken formation. They're either retreating or joining the rebel groups. On the main screen, Ambassador Roberts' ship docked with Earth's orbital station. He wasn't alone. Commanders from 15 other human worlds had come with him, bringing critical intelligence about the Empire's weaknesses. Show them, Miller ordered. Dr. Wells activated the main display. In a massive underground chamber beneath the Pacific Ocean, thousands of new pods lined the walls. Each contained a volunteer operator, ready to connect directly to the Empire's ships. The Empire thought their biolock systems were unbeatable, Dr. Wells explained to the gathered commanders. But they made one mistake. They used human slaves from conquered worlds to maintain their ships. Those humans left traces of their biosignatures in every system they touched. Robert stepped forward. And you can use those traces. Better. Dr. Wells smiled. We can duplicate them. Every maintenance worker, every forced laborer. They unknowingly created backdoors for us. We just needed time to find them. Miller's tablet beeped with an urgent message. Marcus's fleet is accelerating. They'll be here in less than an hour now. Perfect timing, Dr. Wells said, because we're ready to launch Ghost Protocol version 2.0. In their pods, the operators connected to Empire systems across the fleet. But this time, they weren't just causing chaos. They were taking control. All operators, initiate full takeover sequence, Dr. Wells commanded. On the tactical display, Empire ships began shutting down one by one. Their weapons went dark. Their engines cut out. Life support systems transferred to Earth's control. Sir, Wilson called out, Marcus is sending out a general broadcast. The angry face of Grand Admiral Marcus filled the screen. This is impossible. No primitive world could. His transmission cut off mid-sentence as his own ship fell under Ghost Protocol control. Miller keyed his comm. All Earth fleet units, advance. Take control of disabled Empire ships. Remember, minimal casualties. These crews are about to become our guests. Earth's ships moved forward, accompanied by vessels from the human worlds that had joined them. They weren't firing weapons. They didn't need to. In his flagship, Marcus watched helplessly as his control panels went dark. Through his viewport, he saw Earth ships approaching, not to destroy but to capture. How? He demanded as Earth troops boarded his vessel. How did you do this? Miller's voice came through the ship's speakers. We learned from history. Every empire falls when it gets too confident, too rigid. You thought your technology made you invincible. Instead, it became your weakness. Across the solar system, empire ships either surrendered or fled. Those that had already joined Earth's side helped coordinate the peaceful capture of their former comrades. In the World Council chamber, representatives watched as humanity achieved what no other species had done, not just defeating the Empire, but turning their own ships against them. Send the broadcast, Miller ordered. Dr. Wells activated Earth's quantum communication network. Her message would reach every world in the Empire, to all peoples living under Empire control. Earth extends its hand in friendship. What we have done here today proves the Empire is not invincible. Their ships are no longer under their control. Their power is broken. Any world that wishes to be free, your time is now. The response was immediate. Across the galaxy, planets began declaring their independence. The Empire's fleet, their greatest strength, was now under Earth's control thanks to the Ghost Protocol. Sir, Wilson reported with a smile, we're getting responses from over 300 worlds. They're asking to join an alliance, with Earth as the leader. Miller shook his head. Not as their leader. As their protector. We won't be another empire. We'll be something new, a guardian of freedom. The greatest victory wasn't just beating the Empire's fleet. It was showing the galaxy a new way forward, one where technology served freedom instead of oppression, and where humanity's greatest weapon was not their ships, but their determination to remain free. 1 month after Earth's victory, the Great Hall of the newly established Free Systems Alliance buzzed with activity. Representatives from over 300 formerly enslaved worlds gathered in what had once been a secret underground base in Geneva. The irony wasn't lost on Admiral Miller. Earth's hidden bunker now hosted the most open and transparent galactic government ever created. Dr. Wells stood at the main podium, presenting the final numbers. The Empire has fractured into 12 separate territories, she explained, pointing to a holographic map. Most of their military forces have either joined us or stood down. In the front row, former Ambassador Robert sat alongside leaders from other human worlds. Their faces showed a mixture of joy and disbelief. Centuries of oppression had ended in just a few weeks. The Ghost Protocol has been reformatted, Dr. Wells continued. It's no longer a weapon. Instead, it's being used to free the Empire's automated slave systems and restore control to local populations. Lieutenant Wilson, now promoted to captain, entered the hall with urgent news. Sir, Grand Admiral Marcus is ready for the ceremony. Miller nodded. The once proud Empire commander had requested this meeting himself. They found him a changed man after experiencing Earth's victory, not through destruction, but through liberation. Marcus walked into the hall, no longer wearing his Empire uniform. He stood before the gathered representatives and spoke clearly. I represent the last organized remnant of the Empire's military. We formally surrender and request permission to join the Free Systems Alliance. A cheer erupted through the hall, not because they had defeated an enemy, but because they had gained new allies. There's more, Miller announced, stepping to the podium. Our deep space sensors have detected signals from other galaxies. We're not alone in this universe, and now we can face whatever's out there together. The Alliance Council's first vote was unanimous. Earth would not become the new center of power. Instead, each world would govern itself, with the Alliance serving only to protect freedom and promote cooperation. We've established 3 core principles, Miller explained to the Assembly. First, no world may dominate another. Second, technology must be shared openly, never hoarded as a weapon. Third, any species we encounter in the future will be approached with diplomacy, not dominance. Dr. Wells activated a new hologram, showing the modified Ghost Protocol stations. We've already begun teaching other worlds how to protect themselves. Earth's defense technology is being shared with all Alliance members. Robert stood up to speak. When I served the Empire, I thought humanity was weak because Earth refused to join them. Now I understand. Earth wasn't hiding from the Empire. They were preparing to free us all. The gathering moved to the surface, where Earth's cities now openly displayed their advanced technology. Flying vehicles filled the skies, and transportation gates linked continents. The public had finally learned the truth about their world's secret preparations, and they had embraced their new role in the galaxy. What about the Empire loyalists? Someone asked Miller as they watched ships from 100 worlds dock at Earth's orbital stations. "They're welcome to join us when they're ready," he replied. "We won't force anyone to be free. That was the Empire's way, not ours." As night fell, the representatives gathered for one final ceremony. Dr. Wells unveiled a monument in front of the new Alliance headquarters, a simple plaque that read, "Here began the Age of Freedom." Miller looked up at the stars, now filled with friendly ships instead of hostile ones. Earth's greatest achievement hadn't been developing advanced technology or defeating the Empire. It had been showing the galaxy a different way forward. "Sir," Wilson called out, "we're getting new signals, more worlds wanting to join the Alliance." "Tell them what we tell everyone," Miller smiled. "All are welcome, none will be forced, and Earth will always stand ready to help defend their freedom." The night sky lit up with fireworks from 100 different worlds, each celebrating in their own way. The Age of Empires was over. The Age of Cooperation had begun, and high above, the stars twinkled with new possibility. Humanity had not only saved itself, it had helped create something entirely new. A galaxy where freedom wasn't just defended, but celebrated. Earth's message to the Empire had become a message to the entire universe. True strength lies not in domination, but in working together to protect the liberty of all.